The reason, obviously, that all this stuff is happening is because of what's going on along the Grand River and its tributaries. And we got to check in with Bill Steffen right now because, Bill, there was some good news that came out of that news conference we just heard about, that they've actually been revising down the level peaks that we're going to look at for the river, right?
Right, and the reason for that is that we're not getting any significant precipitation today, tomorrow, or on Monday. We had a couple of snow flurries out there now. That's meaningless, just trace amounts. Also, there is some good news out there. The Thornapple River is either holding steady or falling along its route. Now, I don't have a lot of graphics here for you, but I just called around and got as much information as we can. I'll start in Ionia. In Ionia, the Grand River is at 24.7 feet. It is at crest. The river is falling upstream from Ionia now. Record crest in Ionia was 27.6, so we're not coming anywhere near that. 24.7 is the reading. Flood stage there at 21. The river is holding steady. It will slowly start to fall beginning late this afternoon and tonight. That's Ionia. Now, if we move east to Lowell, the last reading we had was 18.5. That was taken at 8 a.m. I'm assuming they're up around 18.7 by my calculations right now. They may get up close to their record of 19 feet, but probably won't exceed that. M21 is closed east of town. You really should stay out of the area right there. It's very difficult to get around. There's a lot of people driving around looking at the river, and they're getting in the way of people that really need to attend to people that are evacuating and whatnot. Jackson Street Bridge is closed there in Lowell. I think we mentioned that. Now, in Portland upstream, the river has fallen from the last reading we had was about 10.6, and that was at 10 a.m. So the river is down about 3 to 4 inches there. So that certainly is falling, and it should continue to fall all the areas upstream from Ionia. In Comstock Park, the latest river level that I have is 17.44 feet. That was around the noon hour. Crest is expected to be around 17.99. So the crest that is forecast has the river still coming up about 5 to 6 inches. By my calculations, I've only got it coming up about 3 to 4 inches from what it's at right now. Flood stage there is at 12 feet, so we're well above flood stage. If it can make it to that 17.9, that would exceed the flood of record in 1948. In Grand Rapids, the river continues to rise. Of course, the river is walled in Grand Rapids, and you don't have quite the number of people affected in terms of houses. But of course, you do have the effects there of the river. They are still pumping some water out of both the Amway and the Marriott hotels, but that does not affect the guests who are there. It basically affects the Marriott. Let's see, the Rogue River crested early Friday afternoon at Rockford. It has that was at 9.4 feet. It is currently at 8.9 feet. So the Rogue in Rockford is down about 6 inches. Will continue to fall. So the good news here is, and by the way, I should mention Caledonia. The river there crested at Caledonia, the Thornapple River, at 11.7. Last reading I had there was 11.5 and steady. The river is also steady at Lowell. At about 8.5 right now. That had peaked at 8.7. So we're not expecting a lot of water to come in from the Thornapple. We're not expecting, which is I think about 23% of the equation for the Grand River in Comstock Park and Grand Rapids. We're not expecting additional river to come in from the Rogue outside of, those are both falling. That's good news. So it's basically the crest in Ionia coming down toward Lowell. And that will crest late tonight, okay, by what I've calculated here.
Bill, I've been watching a lot of people walking around the Grand here in the downtown area when we're talking about that. And I want to mention here real quickly that at 1:30, the city of Grand Rapids is planning on holding a news conference. And we're going to take everybody there as soon as the mayor or anybody else that's involved with the city of Grand Rapids. We'll be taking you to that news conference. I just want you to hold on for a little bit longer. Live pictures coming in there right now as our crews are setting up the situation. We, of course, will inform you as to everything that's going on in the Grand Rapids area, in addition to what we just talked about in Lowell and the other areas, because it's not just Lowell and Grand Rapids that are affected here. But I have a question for you, because yesterday when I was standing along the Grand River and doing live reports there, we got news from the mayor that they'd actually revised the amount, the height that the crest was going to be in the Grand Rapids area down to 23.3. Is it still there? Because 24 hours later, is it possible they've revised it down again?
What they're doing is they're giving a spread right now from their official readings, and the spread is around 21 to 22 feet.
So they have brought it down.
Yeah, and that's the reason for that is the fact that we're expecting no precipitation to affect the river, and we've been noticing all the creek. You know, it's a tremendous equation to try and factor in every creek and river that's coming into the system, and we do that not based upon, you know, we don't have gauges everywhere. We don't have gauges up and down Buck Creek or Plaster Creek, but what we do is we take a look at. We have a system of rain gauges around there. We can take a look at that rain. Not only how much rain has fallen, but when it's fallen over a period of time. We do have people around here that take soil measurements as to estimating the amount of runoff. Obviously, if you get a heavy rain and the ground is dry, a lot of that's going to be soaked up. If it's over very wet ground like what we've had, higher percentage of the water is getting into rivers.